Hello everyone. Today we are going to deal with the chapter Sources of Energy. We are starting with the chapter Sources of Energy because it is the most important chapter from the whole textbook, as it is related to our day-to-day life and it is one of the basic requirements of day-to-day life in this era. The name of the chapter is Sources of Energy. That basically means what are the sources from which we get energy. To start with the chapter, firstly I will like to tell you about energy. In the previous classes or in the lower classes, we have already learned that the definition of energy is the capacity to do work. That means the basic requirement for doing any sort of work is energy. In our body, we intake food, and from food we get energy, and with that energy we do all sorts of possible work. Like for cooking also we need some kind of energy to do that cooking part. For washing also we need some type of energy to do that washing part by ourselves. So, and to get that energy we need food. In case of vehicles, fuel works as the works like food, and from fuel the vehicle gets energy, and with that energy the motion of the vehicle takes place. So we can conclude that for doing any sort of work we require energy, and in this particular chapter we will be dealing with the different types of sources of energy. Before dealing with the sources of energy, we must know what is fuel and what is the relevance of fuel and what sort of fuel should be used by us. And fuel plays a major part in the economy of any country. Like for example, you must be knowing about the Arab countries. The Arab countries are dominating throughout the world because of the availability of petroleum over there, and we are dependent on those Arab countries for the intake of petroleum, and hence it also influences the political and economic situation in the world, and we hereby are bound to follow or want to listen to those countries which supply petroleum, because if we are unable to get petroleum from those countries, we will not be able to survive properly. There are many countries which supply petroleum and other sorts of fuel, and the whole society is depends on the principle of interdependence, because without depending on each other we will not be able to fulfill all our requirements. Similarly, other countries also require us to fulfill their requirements. Like for example, we export something, and in reverse we import something. Export is something which we sent out of the country, and import is something which we get into the country from other countries. And there are taxes levied on export and import, but both of which you will be learning in your social studies, the taxes and other import and export facts and figures. But in this chapter we will be dealing with energy, and everything which was told just now was just to give you or show you the importance of energy and how it plays a vital role in the economy and political scenario in any country or throughout the world. Like for example, due to the availability of certain resources, the US also dominates the UN and WHO, WTO and other groups. So, and the basic thing is energy is also of basically we can classify energy also in two types. Like for example, renewable energy and non-renewable energy. Renewable energy is energy which can be renewed, and non-renewable energy is the energy which cannot be renewed. While on the other hand, there is a confusion related to, or there is confusion or misconception related to it, and many students feel that why coal and petroleum are considered as non-renewable while they also get replenished in the nature, but we consider them as non-renewable because it takes millions of years to get back the coal and petroleum from that decaying matter, and hence since it takes millions of years to replenish itself, we consider it as non-renewable, while solar energy, wind energy and other forms of energy are considered as renewable, because they are available in so much plenty of amount that we can harness them for for many more years, and hence we consider them as renewable energy. And the source of all the energy on the our beloved planet Earth is the sun. Because if you are taking food also, whatever food has been prepared by the plant is by the utilizing the solar energy. And how does the solar energy is utilized? Because plants prepare their food with the help of the sunlight of the sun. And how is the sunlight captured? The chlorophyll present in the leaves of the plant capture that solar energy, and the solar energy comes in the packets of energy which are known as photons, and this chlorophyll captures that solar energy, and that in turn helps the plant to prepare its food. So basically sun is responsible for that food, and by that food is being eaten by animals, and many a times directly by us, or indirectly we also consume that food or solar energy via animals by eating. Sometimes some people are non-vegetarians, some are vegetarians. Vegetarians directly consume the food prepared by the plant, and non-vegetarians consume the food prepared by the plants indirectly by the animals which they consume. Now here we will be dealing with going through some of the paras, and we'll be looking at what is the NCERT book trying to say about the chapter or the topic. It is being said in the book that in class 9th we learned that the total energy during a physical or chemical process is conserved. By looking at this line, we can recall that energy can neither be created nor can it be destroyed. It can only change its form from one form to the another. Like for example, you have electrical energy in your houses. When you switch on your lights, that particular electrical energy gets converted into light energy. And how does the electrical energy we get comes out? That electrical energy can be prepared by hydro power plants or other by the burning of coal in thermal power plants, and that gets converted with the help of turbines into electricity. And that particular electricity is brought to our houses through various system of transmission, which includes transformers also at various places. On roadsides also you must have seen certain transformers at frequent distances, and that transformers helps in the supply of electricity to our house, because the intensity of it reduces and the transformers maintains that intensity, and thus it comes to our houses. And that particular electricity gets converted into light energy. Like for example, if we are getting the energy from electricity, the electricity has been prepared by utilizing the energy of the kinetic energy of the water in the dams, and hence the kinetic energy of the water gets converted into electricity, and that electricity gets converted into light energy in our houses. So energy, by this we can conclude that energy can neither be created nor can it be destroyed. The total energy of the in the universe remains same. And there is a equation also for this, E equals to mc square, where E stands for energy and m stands for the mass, and c stands for the speed of light, that is E equals to mc square. Now, why then do we have to hear so much about the energy crisis? Energy crisis, what is energy crisis? The lack or the shortage of energy is known as energy crisis. Whenever, like for example, if we are unable to reduce the consumption of energy, surely we will be lacking that energy. Like for example, I have 20 kgs of rice and I am frequently using rice as food. So after few days, the rice will get consumed and will get over. And if there is no supply of rice in the market, then I will be dealing with the crisis of food in the form of crisis of rice. So energy crisis is that only. If energy can neither be created nor destroyed, we should have no worries. We should be able to perform endless activities without thinking about energy resources. This is basically dealing with the same statement as given by me just before. This riddle can be solved if we recall what else we learned from energy. Energy comes in different forms, and one form can be converted to another. before this line there was a line. This riddle can be solved if we recall what else we learnt about energy. So the problem can be solved. The energy precise problem can be solved if we recall what have we learned about energy in the previous classes up till now. Starting from 4th or 5th class also only, we somehow are taught energy in one form the other, little bit also, and they with the coming classes the knowledge of energy which is given to you increases. Energy comes in different forms, and one form can be converted to another. For example, if you drop a plate from a height, the potential energy of the plate is converted mostly to sound energy when it hits the ground. In this, basically, it is giving an example of how energy gets converted. Just before I had given an example of conversion of energy by explaining the process of the light which you get at your home. And in this particular example, it is telling you that if you drop a plate from a height, if it takes anything to a certain height, that particular thing will attain some sort of potential energy, and when that plate is dropped, you get a sound from it. So the potential energy of the plate gets converted into sound energy when it hits the ground. If you light a candle, the process is highly exothermic, so that the chemical reaction energy in the wax is converted to heat energy and light energy on burning. So in this particular statement, it is telling about how the candle burns and what sort of energy conversion takes place. The word used here is highly exothermic. So students, before going through this line, we need to understand what is exothermic. Exothermic, the reactions may be of two types. One can be exothermic or it can be endothermic. The process which absorbs heat is known as endothermic, and the process involving release of heat is known as exothermic. So the burning of candle is an exothermic reaction as heat is released. But during the burning of a candle, we get heat energy as well as light energy. And how does we get heat energy and light energy? Due to the energy of the wax, we get light energy and heat energy. So the energy of the wax gets converted to heat energy and light energy, and that light energy is used by us to make things visible, and generally during when the lights are not there, or when the availability of light is not there and there is darkness, or during night. What other products are obtained when we burn a candle? So it is also asking us to guess what other products are in that sort about the byproducts. It is talking about the byproducts. The total energy during a physical or chemical process remains the same, but suppose we consider the burning candle again. Can we somehow put together the heat and light energy generated along with the products of the reaction to get back the chemical energy in the form of wax? So in this particular statement, it is asking you about that if energy can be converted from one from the other. So if by burning of the candle, if we have got heat energy and light energy, can we combine heat energy and light energy and get back the wax once again? So try to think over it. Let us consider another example. Suppose we take 100 ml of water which has a temperature of 348 K and leave it in a room where the temperature is 298 K. K stands for Kelvin. What will happen? Is there any way collecting all the heat lost to the environment and making the water hot once it has cooled down? Suppose we take 100 ml of water which has a temperature of 348 Kelvin and leave it in a room where the temperature is 298 Kelvin. What will happen? Is there a way of collecting all the heat lost to the environment and making? Always remember one thing, that the transfer of heat also takes place. Like for example, I have a body A. the temperature of the body A is 100 Kelvin and the temperature of the body B is 50 Kelvin. So when we keep them attached, there will be a balancing between both the objects, and finally we will get an average temperature of the both if all the external factors are avoided, like for example room temperature and all the external factors. So if the one object is having 50 K as the temperature and another object is having 100 K, so by taking the average, and what is the average? Sum of the total divided by the number of this objects taken. So 100 plus 50 comes out to be 150, and 150 divided by, since we are taking two objects, 150 divided by 2 gives us 75. So the average temperature of both the bodies after some time will be 75 Kelvin. So in this case, since we are bringing an object which is at high temperature, that is 348 Kelvin, into an environment where the room temperature is 298 Kelvin. So automatically, since the room temperature and the amount of this is high as compared to the amount of water, hence it will also come approximately to the temperature of 298 Kelvin. So in this it is asking, can we again get back the energy to the water? In any example that we consider, we will see that energy is in the usable form is dissipated to the surrounding in less usable forms. Hence, any source of energy we use to do work is consumed and cannot be used again. So in this, firstly, I will like to tell you something. Whenever you are listening to this particular video, kindly open your notebooks of NCERT and have them in front of you, because many of the statements made by me are outside from the book, while some of the things are being taken off the book, and you need to have the book. Without book also you can listen to it, but it will be better if you keep the book also with you. The book which is being shown on the screen is nothing else than your NCERT books. It is an NCERT book of your 10th class only, and we are dealing with the chapter 14, sources of energy. In any example that we consider, we will see that energy in the usable form is dissipated to the surrounding in less usable form. Hence, any source of energy we use to do work is consumed and cannot be used again. So in this, in usable form is generally the form in which we can use, and the unusable form is the form in which we are unable to use. So if we are using some form of energy and it gets converted, while the process of our utilization, it gets into a form which is not usable by us in the surroundings, then it is very hard to get back to the previous position. To do work is consumed and cannot be used again. What is a good source of energy? Now we are dealing with the question, good source of energy. What can then be considered a good source of energy? What can be then be considered a good source of energy? We in our daily lives use energy from various sources for doing work. We use diesel to run our trains. We use electricity to light our street lamps. So we will be dealing with what is a good source of energy in the next video.